Welcome to Pitch Your Startup, presented by Innovate. Today, we're delighted to have our guest, Morgan Van Druitt, who is the founder and CEO of Dipity Digital. Love the name.
Thank you.
Morgan, thank you for joining us today. If you don't mind, introduce yourself, introduce your startup, and we're going to jump right into it.
Perfect. It's an absolute pleasure to have me. Thank you for taking the time. So, my name is Morgan Von Druitt, founder, as mentioned, of Dipity Digital. We are a boutique marketing agency servicing SaaS startups, typically companies that are still below 20 employees and looking to get to that 10 million ARR mark. It's a very volatile market, highly competitive. I've spent about 10 years in the SaaS startup space. And in that, I've seen companies grow from 0 to 10 million, but I've also got the opportunity to work for larger enterprise brands like uh, Atlassian or Experian. So I've run the whole gambit, seeing what works in these enterprise boardrooms and what doesn't at the startup level, and I'm bringing those learnings to my agency.
Amazing. So, what really motivated you? You're not the only agency out there, and there's plenty more. But what kind of ignite that spark the light in your head and say, you know what? I'm gonna do this. Everybody doing it different. This is where I'm gonna. That's where I'm gonna stand out.
Yeah, so in the past 4 years, I've seen dozens, if not hundreds, of layoffs from startups that were trying to scale too aggressively. What I've found is that a lot of startup uh, founders, for lack of a better word, um, get over eager and overzealous in their hiring process. They get some capital, whether they go through their Series A or their seed round or their Series B, and they just go through a hiring spree. Then the market shifts, and suddenly dozens or hundreds of people are laid off from these high growth companies, and morale is ruined. Lives are in shambles, and a lot of these professional people in my network are still looking for work today. So what I really wanted to do was create an agency that would cater to these high growth startups early on and really start building a company culture and philosophy that's focused on sustainable growth rather than growth for the sake of it. Growing your headcount rampantly sounds great in theory, but you're adding so many layers of complexity and you're putting your company and your people at risk. So we come in and we work as an end-to-end marketing shop so that way they don't have to increase headcount, they don't have to deal with turnover and retention, and they can just focus on delivering enterprise campaigns at a startup cost. The whole ideology about it is about sustaining growing responsibly or scaling responsibly, and having more ethical business practices. We see a lot of startups, they hire 10, 20, 30 people on a project basis, or they happen to like a really big client, so they go on a hiring spree, and then all of a sudden there's a churn event or a bank collapses like with Silicon Valley Bank, and all of a sudden 70 people are laid off as a result because that company is overextended. Financial forecasts are very volatile, and it's not always set in stone. So we're trying to help people be a little bit more responsible, have a little bit more foresight, and there is also a lot of value for startup founders to maintain their equity in their organization and not go to their IPO with hundreds of employees. It actually makes a lot of sense to be a team of 10, a team of 15, and make your first bill.
So you're saying a lot of startups these days they get money, as you said, whatever they get it from PE, from investors, whether it's a seed round, it's pre-seed or A or B series, and they still get excited and go on that. I wouldn't call it just hiring spree, on a spending spree, whether it's hiring, it's office, it's marketing here, this and that, and all the top. You don't. They still make the same mistakes.
Yeah, I think so. And, if you have money in your pocket, odds are you're going to burn it. A lot of times, there's a difference as well between experienced startup founders that have gone through multiple closes or multiple exits versus first time startup founders where they left their 9 to 5 job to go ahead and solve a particular pain point and they're doing it for the first time. This might be the first time that they've even had an employee, never mind dozens of employees, and they're managing tens of millions of dollars. It's a new experience for them. So they've never gone through that phase before, especially having to make that hard decision of going through a layoff. So I think that, trying to shift the ideology of, hey, grow at a reasonable rate, keep your costs low, use agencies. There's out there. Dipity's wonderful, but there's other great agencies out there as well. Um, and get to where you need to get to without putting yourself at risk, especially considering with the economic market how it has been in the past couple of years. lives can very easily get ruined when you hire an employee and then a couple of months later you're having to lay them off without their control. And I've seen that countless times.
Morgan, from what I'm hearing, would you say that bootstrapping founders are more likely to succeed than founders not experienced? Let's say not experienced. You said experienced or seasoned founders, when they get funding, they know what to do, they know how to spend, they know what to hold back on. But let's say unexperienced founders, they're just excited, they were in that field, they have an idea, they want to build it, technology, they say this is going to be a game changer, or somebody been in the business for a long time and said, hey, it's about time I'm going to do my own startup. But so are you saying founders without funding more likely to succeed? Unexperienced founders.
Yeah, I think inexperienced founders without millions of dollars of funding are likely going to be able to create more innovative products because they have to be more resourceful. And the longer you prolong the gratification of going to market or getting profitability or reporting your revenue in the order of millions, the more impactful you're going to be when you actually hit market. I really want Dipity to keep our prices low so that way startup founders can focus more on product development. So that way they hit product market fit and the product kind of sells themselves. A lot of times you see startup founders selling a mediocre product, but spending millions of dollars on marketing and then wondering why they're not really getting any sales, or the marketing might be really stellar, but then there's high churn rates because once these customers are over promised, under delivered, they're leaving in 1 or 2 months, and all of a sudden our financial projections are just haywire.
So pretty much, I would say digital deputy comes in to a startup company and say, hey, we're going to help you save money. We're going to help you make the right decision. We're going to help you hire the right staff. We're going to help you not go overboard, not to go on a spending spree, and make the right steps to kind of grow at the rate that you're supposed to grow at. There's nothing wrong with rapid growth, but if it's done the right way so it doesn't crash.
Exactly. Rapid growth is only useful if it's sustainable. And for instance, one of the last startups that I worked for directly, just our team of marketing people, we had six on our team, we were looking at about $1.5 million in salary per year. And that was great. Of course, there was layoffs that were involved as well. And that was very impactful. Now there's only two people that are from that same team within that company. They very easily could have just worked through an agency and save that money, uh, increase their ad spend, focus more on optimizing their campaigns rather than trying to increase headcount so that way they could flex to their board, look at how fast we're growing from a headcount basis. That doesn't really matter. What matters is, um, yeah, just the sustainability aspect of it.
Where do you think a lot of the, as an expert, and you work with startups, they make the mistake in the spending on what? On marketing, on employees, office space. I think a lot of people work from home these days. Back in the day, everybody used to go crazy with office space, high rent, fancy designs, and all of that. But now it's kind of changed. It tipped the
I
scale. So,
I think the biggest mistake is that there's often a disconnect between the actual capabilities of the product versus what the sales team is telling prospects and new clients. So product marketing is my expertise. I have about 10 years of experience in product marketing management, and it's a pivotal role. Oftentimes when I interview for companies, they don't even know what product marketing is. And we're the liaison between all of these cross-functional teams, sort of the glue that makes sure that everyone is on the same page, delivering the same messaging, and that the sales reps are actually representing the product in a way that is functional and based in reality. The issue that I've found with a lot of founders in SaaS is that they have this idealistic view of what their product is and what their product can do, obviously, because they see the vision 5, 10 years down the road, but they kind of forget about what it's actually able to do right now. So when you see them hop onto webinars or you see them hop on the podcasts and, or just speak casually on a LinkedIn reel, they're kind of over promising and setting unrealistic expectations. So when you go ahead and you get a $250,000 contract from an enterprise organization that's taking a risk on a smaller startup that's under 10 million, they're very at risk of losing that contract very early, just because that assessment window is very easy to say, hey, this isn't working out. There's too many bugs on this platform. It's too expensive. There's not as many features as you promised. What do you mean your sales reps told us that these five things were already here, but three of them are still in the roadmap and haven't been developed yet? Those things can really start killing a product and starting to increase that churn rate, which then leads to layoffs and then leads to a lack of morale where you start seeing your top development talent leave for other companies, when they start seeing the ship sink.
So there is two type of disconnect, I would say, from what we're talking here. Number one, there's a disconnect between the founder or the startup founders and the marketing, and the market needs and what the market wants, and also marketing the product. So it really two, I would say, really important components: marketing and market, what the market needs, and how your product gonna fit in, and how would it gonna make a difference. And in order to do that, you also need two things. You need sales, strategies, and marketing, which is all together connected.
Absolutely. I think that brand new startup founders, at times, they have the vision of what they want to build and they go to solve that particular pain point, but they aren't taking into consideration the actual market needs. So they're not building for product market fit. They're building for the dream that they had to be a CEO of a SaaS company. And oftentimes there's a huge mismatch between that.
Yes. So study the market, understand where the mistake, where the need, where I would say the challenges are, and what the issues out there, and what can you bring in, and if your product actually gonna solve, gonna change, gonna make an impact, or just an idea you have. An idea by itself or a hunch is not gonna work. Amazing, and that's where Dipity Digital and Morgan gonna walk in the door and gonna whip things to crack the whip, and then really make some changes and have them see reality at a way they should see it.
Exactly. I try to be very candid with my clients and blunt, but obviously in a productive way. I absolutely love sparring with people and arguing in the philosophical sense of, hey, let's go have a debate about this. Not that we're going to be in a Zoom call screaming at each other. That's not productive. But, I do enjoy going into large companies and startups and just highlighting the inefficiencies in their process. What we found is that a lot of startup owners, they're just sprinting and they don't realize that it's a marathon and you can't just go there trying to run a 4:2:40 for 28 miles. It doesn't really work like that. You're going to get gassed immediately. So one of the last CEOs that I was advising, he was so adamant on just increasing revenue. His solution to solving the churn problem was just go get more customers. So he kept wanting to hire more sales reps, but they were making more sales, obviously, since we had more manpower, but the churn was still just getting worse and worse and worse. So we really had to diagnose what the problem was. And the problem was that we were shortening our development cycles so drastically to get these products out the door. There was ample bugs that were going out that we were expecting our enterprise customers to report for us, that they would then go ahead and move our product roadmap all around again. And once we had to really drill that in of, hey buddy, slow down, actually build a great product first and then launch it, that's more important than revenue. Maintaining your existing customer base is more important than getting new acquisitions in most cases, especially for high growth startups under 10 million ARR.
Unbelievable. Well, Morgan, what are you looking for? The new year started. We're in 2025. Seeing positive. You know what are you doing, and what is Morgan and Digital Deputy looking for? Are you guys looking for investors, advisors, so we can announce it here at Pitch Your Startup, or looking just for new business and new startups that are looking to grow, looking to sustain, looking to save? They come to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So we're looking for new business at this point. We're in a very volatile sales cycle at this point. We're looking to get up to about 50 clients by the end of the year. And then we're looking to maintain those clients and move them into a growth partnership. So right now we
Amazing.
have a retainer plus cost of service model. Then we want to work with those clients for about a year, maybe two, grow them or nurture them into a state where it makes more sense for us to work off of a revenue share, or we can replace their marketing team in its entirety. If a CEO can come in and say, all right, we have a CMO, and that's all they have to hire internally, that CMO works with Dipity directly, we can provide them with the full end-to-end services from content writing to paid advertisements to geofencing or really anything that you need. Um, in terms of an investor side, we are working on a SaaS element in the next looking, excuse me, we are working on a SaaS element that we should be launching in Q3, which will have an integrated
Amazing.
marketing dashboard that will have all of the campaigns laid out very clearly with all of the analytics and the metrics that you need, as well as a chat function, so that way they can talk with our team directly. And what that will do, it will break down the need to have all of these random agency meetings bi-weekly for an hour where we just kind of regurgitate the same dashboard numbers to you. So a lot of that can be self-service for those that want it. Obviously, there would still be the touch points, the face-to-face touch points if they want that. What this ends up doing is the dashboard would have a marketplace in it, and that will create an ecosystem where they can come in, view their campaigns, add new campaigns to their recurring service, and all of this can just happen with very little oversight from the actual startup, since we'll be handling all of that. In a late stage, we'll be able to host sales demos and have a little bit of a social media networking element from people that are within the Dipity ecosystems. That way we can connect founders with founders outside of the more stifled LinkedIn environment in a more creative, loose environment where ideas can flow more freely.
Amazing. So soon you're going to have like the on-the-go service. And you have the other service where you do your contract with some of the startups where you pretty much not you come and go. You pretty much guide them throughout the year, the whole process for a year or two, as you mentioned earlier. Amazing. Really great service. I think it's well needed and well crafted, Morgan. At Digital Dipity. Love the name and I love the approach. Absolutely. Every startup, a lot of startups, I would say they need guidance. They need kind of parameters as far as the spending because it's all about the money. It's all about penny pinching. I'm going to say it. It's all controlling your finances and how do you spend it the right way. Invest the money wisely. Absolutely. And if you don't know how to control it, easy. Get a hold of Morgan and Digital Dipity. How can people get a hold of you? LinkedIn or an email if you want to mention or .com?
Feel free to email me at morgan@dipity.digital. Also visit dipity.digital if you want to visit our website. I am available on LinkedIn for direct outreach, Morgan Von Druitt. Either of those options are perfectly fine.
Amazing. Morgan, quick advice for entrepreneurs who are starting before we say goodbye to this amazing amazing company, amazing idea that you're doing and helping others.
Your network will be your net worth. I can't say that enough. And be aware that you don't always know everything, right? Like there's tons of unknown unknowns in life. And I think that the thing that's helped me the most connect with the most influential people in my current network is a willingness to learn. If I don't know something within a day or two, I know how to do it now. Um, Even if it's something like coding or working on AI models, something that I'm working on recently. Just be willing to learn and don't be scared to reach out. You'd be really surprised what C-level executives at random companies, even Fortune 500 companies, are willing to talk to you in a pseudo mentorship capacity if you have genuine questions. Don't go into their inbox trying to pitch them immediately, but go into their inbox asking what their pain points are, go into their inbox asking how they've handled a situation that you're in. Build that rapport, and those relationships will be way more important than trying to squeeze a couple grand out of them for your new service. Build the relationships first, the money will come.
Oh, love the approach. Amazing approach. Well, you heard it here. Pitch Your Startup, Morgan from Digital Dipity. This wraps it up for today's episode of Pitch Your Startup. Morgan, thank you and the best of luck. And thanks our listeners today for tuning in. And don't forget to subscribe, follow and like, and follow us on social media. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.